We've got ourselves pretty cold air right now that is moving on out, and we're going to get multiple batches of very warm air to spread across the middle portion of the country and eventually further east. A little bit of cool air still hanging on for dear life. It does get much chillier across the western portion of the country as we go through the next couple of weeks or so. But overall, much of Canada and a pretty good portion of the United States will at least be on the milder than average side of things. But we see these swirls of energy aloft in the atmosphere promoting some troughiness. So into New England, portions of the Northeast, there will be some systems and there will be some better chances for cold air and maybe at least a little bit of snow over the next couple weeks. Oh my gosh, beautiful. We love to see it. The auroras this week are back and they are reaching far south into the country as we are in a very strong geomagnetic storm. Active solar cycle for sure. Over the last 5 days, snow totals, yeah, outside of the Great Lakes, seeing pretty good amount of snow in spots. Now, these totals didn't all accumulate on the ground on all surfaces, but a few to several inches where these main lake effect snow bands set up across portions of Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie here, and then off of eastern Lake Erie and Lake Ontario as well. And kind of nickel and diming ourselves over the course of multiple days, but it's a sign of things to come. We'll kind of reload the pattern a little bit in the next few days or so and then get active again. There's a little bit of the leftover stuff through the day on your Thursday. Swirling low pressure system, pretty quiet, high pressure and control for a big portion of the country. It's fairly active out across the west with mainly rain systems at that point. High pressure slowly fades away. We'll get some of this rain to kind of fade away as well, but the high pressure does move further off towards the east. Warm air is going to be pushing in at this point, as we showed you as we go throughout portions of the weekend before this cold front moves on through. And you can see transitioning there, it's going to pull in colder air. We could see some snow into New England, the interior portions, warmer and rainier further off towards the South Ohio Valley into the Mid-Atlantic. And as that system continues to kind of wind up again into eastern Canada, the Montreal area, probably up in towards Vermont and Maine, it will be snowy, but then high pressure up and down temperatures as we go throughout portions of next week. Some modeling does have a little clipper system that's going to move on in across portions of maybe Indiana, Chicago, possibly Ohio, with at least a little bit of mix back behind it. We'll see. I don't think there's going to be much in the way of snow chances with that system, but it's a more active pattern that moves on out. Next system, more in the way of snow for the mountain areas out west. Cold front coming on through. That will slide off towards the east, and we will start to see another pattern kind of reload a little bit. So snowfall is going to be kind of hit and miss. Those typical mountainous areas will get some, but we're not talking about feet or anything like that for the most part. Again, I don't think this is a super likely scenario to maybe see a couple inches of snow from Dakota through areas of Illinois and Ohio, but we'll keep an eye on along the I-80 corridor. But this looks to be a little bit more likely that there will be another system with some lake effect possibly back behind it into upstate New York, Vermont, portions of Maine. Overall, it's a fairly wet pattern across a pretty big deal of the country in the next 1 to almost 2 weeks. No huge surprise. We talked about that coming at us. And the warm air is going to start to set up pretty nicely across portions of the middle of the country. And at times it does get east into the Mid-Atlantic, but definitely into portions of the Midwest and Great Lakes. Overall, this is probably going to be a similar type pattern for the following week as well. But December is going to come, and I do think there's pretty good confidence that it's going to be a colder and probably more snowier type of winter because we have the MJO phase going into a more favorable pattern, typical with negative ENSO, so a weak La Nina. And then we have the negative PDO as well. This typically favors polar vortex weakening. So we get disruptions of the polar vortex and we get these lobes of Arctic air or even polar air that kind of descend further south. What we just had was that, just obviously it's November, so we weren't feeling like negative 20 or negative 30, but watch out for some cold air outbreaks at times as we venture on into December off and on. A more active December winter weather pattern than what we've seen on a more widespread basis the last few to several years.